So here's the thing. Most annual reviews kind of suck because they exclusively focus on external metrics, like how much revenue you generated, how many subscribers you got, or how many podcast downloads you had. These are great to keep track of, but there are two issues with focusing on these. One, they're out of your control, and two, they're downstream of what's been going on internally. Because the main thing holding us back from the life we want is usually us. Most of the time it's just us getting in our own way. Because we don't have clarity on what we want, we let limiting beliefs stop us, or we get trapped in unhelpful thought or behavioral patterns. So if you do an annual review, or if you want to start, here are 9 prompts I use myself and with my coaching clients that will help you reflect on the past chapter so you can set yourself up for success in the next chapter. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Dr. Corey Wilks. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and an executive coach. And on this channel, I do deep dives into psychology, online business, and content creation. So let's get started. So I'll link a full walkthrough down below of how to go through each of these prompts, but here's like the condensed version so you can go ahead and start implementing these questions in your own life. Question number 1, where did I think too small? Most of us have way more potential to have a far larger impact than we give ourselves permission to pursue. So this question helps you reflect on the impact you wanted to have compared to the actual impact you did have. Question number 2, how did I overcomplicate things? Right? It's easy to theory craft and pre-optimize by going down YouTube rabbit holes, endlessly researching the quote unquote right thing we should do and developing the perfect business plan that's super complicated and eventually becomes so overwhelming, we end up giving up. Most of the time, this is just a distraction that keeps us from taking real action. So where are you overcomplicating things? Where did you overcomplicate things over the last year? That may be part of the reason you didn't see the progress you hoped to see. Question number 3, what games did I play and optimize for? So everything is a game, right? Life, business, content creation, whatever. The only difference is what the stakes are. So one of the keys to success is deciding what games you want to play. A lot of the times the games we sign up to play are long-term losses veiled as short-term wins. So for example, maybe you spent too much time playing the game of social media, of endlessly creating more and more content for this algorithm over here for a piece of content that in 24 hours, nobody's ever going to see again, versus playing the game of creating real digital assets that will continue to compound, like writing long-form content, creating very valuable videos, things like that. What games did you play and optimize for? Question number 4, how much time did I spend in the lab versus in the arena? It's really easy to get caught up in the trap of thinking about doing, talking about doing, planning of how to do the thing, but never actually doing the thing, never taking real action, never hitting publish, never launching the thing. Because staying in the lab feels safe, it feels comfortable. You can preserve your fragile idea from the world. You can continue to constantly tinker and think and plan and research and take notes without ever actually putting anything at real risk. The arena is dangerous, but only through putting your ideas out into the arena, putting yourself and your ideas out into the world. That's the only way you're going to get real feedback so that you can iterate and evolve and become better. So if you haven't made as much progress as you hoped for, it may be because you spent too much time in the lab and not enough time in the arena. Because yes, some planning is very important, but probably not as much as you think you need. Plan a little, plan enough, but then launch. Then put your ideas and yourself out into the world. Enter into the arena so that you can start getting that feedback. You can start battle testing those ideas. That's how you can start to set yourself up for success in the future. Question number 5, how much tea did I put in my golden bucket? Now this concept comes from my course, Build an Intentional Life. I'll link that below if you want to check it out. But T, T-E-A, is your time, energy, and attention. And in my course, we talk about how when it comes to your time, energy, and attention, you can put them into one of two buckets. One bucket is much larger, but it has holes in the bottom. So any time, energy, and attention you pour into that bucket ends up being wasted. Well, what that bucket represents is everything that is outside of your control, right? Like hitting a certain revenue target, losing weight potentially, getting X number of followers, things like this. These are outside of your control. So any time, energy, and attention you pour into these things that are uncontrollable is time, energy, and attention you are wasting. But your golden bucket, even though it is relatively small, this golden bucket represents the few things that are within your control. Your processes, your input, your actions, your thoughts. So even though this bucket is a lot smaller than the other one, any time, energy, and attention you pour into it, you invest into it, is well spent, because this is what you do control. So this is a really helpful exercise to think about. How much of my time, energy, and attention am I dedicating to things that are actually within my control versus how much am I wasting trying to pour into all the things that are outside of my control? Because even if like 99% of the things that happen are outside of your control, like that sounds overwhelming and it sounds like it sucks. But you could focus on that 99% that is outside of your control and feel helpless, hopeless, powerless. Or you could say, okay, well, what is the 1% that I do fully control? And let me hyper focus on investing all of my resources, time, energy, attention, whatever else, into this 1% where all of my effort will be rewarded, will be invested and compound accordingly. Question number 6, how well did I incorporate memento mori into my life to live fully every single day? So memento mori translates to remember death or remember you will die. It isn't meant to be like depressing or morbid. It's more so meant to be a reminder to use your mortality as a motivator to live fully. If you follow me for any length of time, you're going to hear me talk about memento mori over and over again because it's a huge concept that has really enriched my own life, right? Even here, like the skull and the raven over here, like these are symbols of memento mori. My entire right tattoo sleeve is dedicated to the Stoic concept of memento mori. I'm a huge proponent of this idea because it reminds us to fully show up in the work that we do and to make the most of the time we all have. But I kind of extend this beyond just remember death to remember it will end. And what I mean by that is, yes, people you care about are, we're all eventually going to die. But beyond that, remember this phase of life will end, right? So like if you have kids, they're not always going to be kids, right? Like they're eventually going to grow up. If you have a puppy, it'll eventually grow up into like adulthood, right? So how can you be more present in your day-to-day life to enjoy the puppy while it's a puppy, to enjoy your kids while they're kids, to enjoy spending time with your partner when you all are together, to be able to enjoy walking up and down stairs, because maybe when you get super old, you may not be able to do that with the same agility you currently have. It's also a really good reminder because it's really easy to get caught up in chasing bullshit that doesn't actually matter, right? Like all this mimetic desire things and chasing things purely because other people chase them or other people tell us we are supposed to want them. It's also really easy to say yes to too many things that don't really resonate with us, that aren't aligned with our own core value and how we want to show up in the world, the work we want to do, things like that. So one really easy way to filter things that matter and things that don't is to use memento mori to reflect on this. Of, okay, well, this opportunity is kind of coming my way. I'm going to die one day. This is all going to end one day. Is this worth me investing a portion of myself into? Is this opportunity, is this idea worth the units of my life that I'm never going to get back, right? You can always make more money. You can never make more time. So is this opportunity, is this project, is this idea, is this collaboration worth the units of my life it is going to require to build? Very few things will pass that test, but the things that do pass it are the things that are going to most resonate with you, most energize you, and most align with how you want to show up in the world and the value you want to create. But it also allows you to just be more present and grateful for the day-to-day stuff you're doing already. Because again, it's really easy to just kind of let life pass you by, to constantly be chasing the next thing, and never really asking yourself, like, well, what is enough? Am I actually enjoying my life on a day-to-day basis? Or am I so focused on catching something, on arriving, on chasing it, pursuing it, that I'm kind of taking my current life for granted? So Momentum Word is really great to both help you enjoy and practice deep gratitude for what you have today, but also focus on what are the things that are truly worthwhile in the long run to pursue. Question number 7. How well did I connect with others on a similar journey versus building in isolation? A lot of times as creators, we have a one-to-many, one-directional relationship, right? We create content for many people, but we create that alone in isolation. This is why even creators and entrepreneurs who have huge followings, huge audiences, whatever, can feel very lonely, very isolated. They spend all day creating for many people, right? Like for their audience, but they do that alone in isolation. So then they feel lonely, they feel disconnected from a lot of people. So finding ways to feel less alone, to connect with others is critical, both to avoiding burnout, to addressing burnout if it's happening, to break through plateaus, and just connect with others who get it. Because the path of being a creator, just like any type of entrepreneurship, is full of uncertainty. So just being able to talk to people on the same path or a similar path is a huge unlock. Because even if they can't give you like specific advice for what you need to do next, just being able to process things with them is invaluable. And it reminds me of this African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So if you've been feeling lonely, if you've been feeling burnt out, ask yourself, how well have I been connecting with others on a similar journey versus just building in isolation? Question number 8. What are my most memorable wins? Right, so like you don't want to just focus on all your shortcomings for the past chapter of your life, right? The last year, last month, whatever. Right? It's super important to recognize our wins and to celebrate them. Because even just the idea of like what you categorize as a win gives you insights into what's going on internally. What do you consider a win? Why do you consider that a win? Right? As you're listing things out, it might not even come up like how much you made or how many followers you gained. It might be the quality of the conversations you had, another milestone you hit in your life or in your business. It could also include money and followers and fame and things. That's cool. But you'd be surprised how many things you consider a win that are much more internal rather than external. This gives you more insight into the types of work you're doing that really resonates with you. And it can also give you insights into maybe things you want to double down on for this next chapter of life. Question number 9. What changes will I make going forward based on what I've learned from these reflections? So basically, this is just like a summary of everything you reflected on up to this point. And if you condense your takeaways well enough, you can actually fit them on like a piece of paper or a printout to keep in your office as a reminder of how you want to show up in the world. All right, so hopefully these 9 questions are helpful for you in your own annual review or annual reflection. But another thing with these is you don't just have to wait to do them once a year, right? Like you can do them monthly, weekly, quarterly, daily sometimes, depending on the scope of what you're working on. So if you have like a journaling habit, these are great to just fold into what you're already doing occasionally because they help you constantly reflect on what is going on internally, which will then influence what you do externally. So I'll leave you with a couple things. One, like I said, there should be like a more thorough walkthrough in the description below to an article, like a free resource. But then I'm also going to put up 2 other videos that should also help you. One is how to set yourself up for success in the next chapter, right? So this video was all about reflecting on your last chapter. So if you want to set yourself up for success for the future, check out this other video. And then if you're curious about how I use these prompts in my own life to reflect on the last year for me, I'll put up another video in case you're curious about my own life and business. Wins, losses, lessons learned, reflections, things like that. So check those out. And then if you have any questions or want to share your own reflections, put those in the comments below and let me know. Until next time, take it easy.